Okay, we're in section 56 now. And we're in the same loop. It's reading the contents, doing the examples, and then you get working on the exercises. My name is Ron Bann, and this is a draft version of my adaptation of Webster Wells's Advanced Course in Algebra dating back to 1904. Right? Again, it's a prison mathematics project that has access to the PDFs. At some point in the future, I will publish it. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can always email me and ask. And my email address is b as in boy, the @ symbol, nnon.us. All right. Again, you really need to read the content, including if you're not understanding everything they say in the content. But yeah, the content, I'm not going to read it to you, but solutions to equations now. These are the equations that involve factoring. So, looking at this guy over here, my gut feeling, and I really mean this, my gut feeling about the problem is I want to solve it. And so my gut feeling about solving it, I'm recognizing immediately that I can factor this problem. I mean, immediately recognize it. And what does that mean? This would be the difference of perfect cubes. So you get x minus 1, then you get x squared plus x plus 1 equals 0. And it's first solution I see is, x equals 1. That's immediate. But here's the problem. This is guaranteed to have 3 different solutions to it. Now, I'm not saying Wells is going there at this stage of the game, but, I want to go there. So this first factor is easy, x equals 1. But then I look at this second factor, and I get x squared plus x plus 1 equals 0. All right? Now, Wells will delve into this more later on, and he'll also talk about, Duval's theorem of getting these roots over here. But let's not worry about it. It comes later. So I'm going to just write the quadratic formula down. So let's see, the opposite of b, that's minus 1, plus or minus the root of, let's see, b squared would be 1 minus 4ac, which is 4 times 1 times 1, which is 4, over twice a, which is 2. It's going to be minus 1 plus or minus, 1 minus 4 is minus 3, so this would be I root 3 over 2. So now I have 2 additional solutions. And where the solution is going to be, x equals 1, that's written here. And then there's 2 solutions over here, and I got those written down for you. 3 solutions to that. Now this one over here, there's going to be 4 solutions to it. Again, you look at it, I got to factor the guy. I think we've done that before, right? So I'll write this one down for you. I'd write down x4 plus 1. What would the middle term be? There's many, I shouldn't say many, but there's options for it. I'm going to say plus 2x squared. I'm going to do something different this time, because I noticed it's in my notes. I'm going to get my eraser out. And I'm going to write down, and just show you that you could also write down minus 2x squared. And then what you get over there, you have to add 2x squared, right? That seems strange, but I'm going to write it down for you. And what do you get over there? This would be x squared minus 1 squared, and I'm going to write this as minus 2x squared. But I can write it as a difference of perfect squares, right? So let's see if we can do that. X squared minus 1 squared minus, well, I'll write this down. That's going to be a square. What are you going to get? Well, that would be root 2x, certainly, and then an I over here. Well, let me continue to factor it. And again, I know it's, say it's going in a different direction. Not really. So what do you get? X squared minus 1 minus I root 2x. And what do you get over here? X squared minus 1 plus I root 2x. And what do you get there? You get x squared. And I'll write this a little differently this time. I'm going to write it as, let's see what we can write it as. I'll write it as what? Minus the square root of minus 2x minus 1. And I'll write this one as x squared, let's see, plus the root of minus 2x minus 1. All right, I got that done. And now I'm going to, and by the way, I know this is done differently over here. And now I'm going to use the quadratic formula to solve these guys over here. And it's not easy, but I got to write it down for you. So what's x equal to? Let's write this down. Let's see, it's going to be the opposite of b, right? And the b is minus, minus the root of minus 2. And that's going to be just simply the root of minus 2. Plus or minus. This is not easy, by the way. I know that. And when you get over here, the root, well, the b squared, that would be just, if I did that, I'll write this down for you because I can be really careful about this. So let me put this over here. So it would be minus root 2, which is just I root 2. And if you square that, what do you get? You get I squared. I'll write this over here. I squared times 2, which is minus 2. I'll write that down for you. All right? What do you get then? It's going to be the b squared minus the 4 times the a times the c. Well, the a is 1, the c is minus 1, so that's going to be minus 4, so plus 4. Over twice a, which is 2. And what do you get over here? Well, this is going to be what? That's going to be, let's see, if you did that, you get root 2i, right? I'll put that down for you. Plus or minus the square root of 2. That's not so bad. Over 2. All right? So, let's write that down now. I got 2 answers there. I'm going to do something a little bit tricky over here. I'm going to factor out a root 2. And that's going to be I plus or minus 1 over 2. I just want to say we're getting the same answer. That's all I want to do. So we get over here, x equals, well, 2 goes into root 2. Again, what upon I'm doing this over here. That's going to be root 2 in the bottom now. And what do you get on top? I plus or minus 1. All I want to do is show you get the same answer. And that answer is right over here. Oops, I'm sorry. I spoke too quickly. Let me get the eraser out. It's this answer. Where is that answer now? I plus or minus 1. I'm going to say I'm getting it here. This one of the answers here is, I'll write them all down. I minus 1 over root 2. And you know what I'm going to do? Just erase that again. I want to make sure we're getting the same thing. I'm going to have to write them down for you. All right? So let's write them down. So 1 is going to be 1 plus I. I'm just looking at my answer key because I want to match them. And the other one's going to be 1 minus I over root 2. And I'm also going to get minus 1 plus I over root 2. And I get minus 1 minus I over root 2. Right? This one here is I plus 1 over root 2. And the other one's going to be I minus 1 over root 2. All right, I'm going to get my pen out. I'm going to look for them. And I'm going to look for that one. Now, do I see it? I see it right here. Let's see if it's this one, which is going to be I minus 1 over 2. You'll see that there. All right? So let's look at the other one now. And I know it's a lot of work, but this is going to happen to you. You get an answer key and say, I wonder if my answer's right. You're going to have to work on it. And this is where most of your learning is going to come in play. And let me just put the next one down. I'm running out of room. And let me just, I'll point out what the next one is. I'm going to do this one over here. All right? And let me see if I can do that. All right? So I'll write it on the side. So let's see. It's going to be x equals. I'll put a little fraction bar there. And again, we're doing this one here now. And I'm sorry, it's right over here. So the opposite of b, so that's going to be, let's see, that's going to be minus the square root of minus 2, which is root 2 I. And then what do I get? Plus or minus A lot of work, right? The b squared and the b squared, and we just did that before, right? I'll do that again for you, but that's just going to be minus 2. That's pretty simple. And then what do you get? Minus 4 times a times c. Well, it's going to be 4 times 1 times minus 1, so it's going to be minus a minus 4, which is plus 4. Let me see if I did that right. Yeah, plus 4. Over twice a, which is 2. Let's write this down. What do you get? You get x equals, let's see, minus root 2I plus or minus the root of 2 over 2. By the way, I don't mind the answer. Like I'm saying, if you have an answer key out, you look at it and say, I don't see that answer. Let's write this down. I'm going to factor out minus root 2, and you're going to get I minus plus 1 over 2. Let's keep writing this down. X equals, well, now I'm seeing the root 2 on the bottom now. And what do you see on top? It's minus 1. So I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to put minus I plus or minus 1. I'm going to write these two down now, see if I get it. So that would be minus I minus 1 over root 2. And the other one's going to be x equals minus I plus 1 over root 2. Well, I'm going to see if I got those. I'm going to look for this one first. Whoops, sorry about that. I'm going to look for this one. And do I see it? Right here. Do I see this one? I forgot to put the 2 down, sorry. Do I see this one? Yep, it's right here. All right? So here's the deal. I realize someone says, I didn't go about this way, I went about another way. No matter what road we take, we're going to get these answers. All right? You're going to be confused sometimes with the key, and that's where a lot of your learning is going to come in. You're going to look at your answer and say, could that be the right answer? It's going to take work. All right? It's going to take work. Now, what some students will do is they'll look over my work and adapt their work to look like my work to get my answers. But all I can say is the answers got to be equivalent. They may look different, but they got to be equivalent. And this is where the trick lies. You're going to be looking at an answer and say, oh, no, it can't be right. Manipulate, manipulate, manipulate. Get them to look the same, all right? So here's the deal. You're going to get to this over here. It's going to be a struggle for you, though. It's not an easy section. You're going to be working through these problems over here. I try to factor them for you, and I try to do all kinds of work for you, all right? Some of the work is going to be easy. Number 1's an easy question. Number 2 doesn't look that bad. I'm going to say you can do that one too. So far, the questions are starting off pretty simple. Number 3, really not that bad. Factoring a cubic, it's really not bad. Number 4, not bad. Right? It's really not bad, all right? But the problem is it's still cubic. You got to do that cubic thing, so it's following along, all right? I'll tell you when something gets tough. 5's a cubic, not that bad. Okay, 4th degree, it could be tough. Factor. It's still not bad, and I'll tell you why. It's really each of those factors. You'll get the 4 solutions pretty quick, all right? You will. This one over here, cubic, they look pretty reasonable. Oh, a 6-degree polynomial. There's many ways to do this, by the way. I want to point out, doing this one over here, you may not have taken the approach that I followed. Maybe you saw this as being a difference of squares. I don't know, all right? So if you did that difference of squares, what are you going to do? You might say x cubed squared minus, well, what square would give you is 729? And again, you use calculator if you're struggling with this, but 27. Let me write this down for you. 27 squared. That's 27 times 27. And if I did that, that's 49. I'm just doing the multiplication. Let's see, 14, 18. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 2 is 4, 5. And what do you get there? Let's see, 9. Let's see, 8, 12, 729. I'm looking pretty good. And that's going to be I'm going to square it, right? So it's going to be this over here. So that's how I got this over here, all right? Now let's say you saw it as cubes. Let's write that down. I'm not saying it's going to be easy for you. I'm saying let's say you saw it as cubes. So you said x squared cubed minus, well, let's put the cube down over here. And that would be what? That would be a squared, right? I'm sorry, I forgot to put the square there. All right, let's take a look at that. And I'm going to tell you, that looks pretty tough, though. I'll write this down now. Remember, 27 squared was 729. This would be what? 3 to the cube. So it's 3 6 is 729, right? Again, you may want to try these differently. That's up to you. And let's see. I'm going to say that would be 3 squared now. So you could have actually attacked the problem looking at cubes. Why did I do squares? I find squares easier, but you may not. Maybe you find cubes easier to deal with. No matter what direction you go in, though, you're going to get the same answer in the end. All right? You decide. This one over here, a little difficult, but certainly I'd clear the fraction, which is what we're doing over here. And I kind of show you the work, by the way, of me clearing the fraction. And again, you may see some other tricks. Yeah, it's possible. But the bottom line is you can get through that. And it's really not, it doesn't look that bad, by the way. Easy factoring problem. Likewise over here, I want to point out what causes us problems. We're actually solving these equations for x. X equals something in the end. And the problem with this one, this says like this a in it. All right, we treat it as a constant, though. It's all over the place. And again, clear the fraction. Maybe you see maybe you see something I don't see. It's possible. All right, but there's a lot of problems over here. Make sure you try to work through those. They're not easy, though. This is not your standard algebra course. If you give this to an algebra student nowadays, they would have no idea where to start. Even with instruction, they couldn't do it, all right? I'm saying typical algebra student. But anyway, work through the questions, all right? There's a lot of them, and some of them have a lot of work down there for you. And eventually, you're going to get back to the SAGE. That's a computer algebra system. And you're going to find it remarkable. I really am. I mean that. It's open source software. It's free. Go to this website, either download it, interactive web-based application. You're going to find it remarkable that it's able to solve problems. And why is that? The people doing the coding know algebra. They know algebra at this level. Well, not the basic stuff. They know algebra at this level. And you really do need to know it at this level if you're planning to move forward. Okay. Do I make mistakes? I hope I said this a number of times to you. Yes, of course I do. If you see an error, please reach out to me. My name is Bannon. My email address looks the same. B as in boy, the @ NNON.US. Please reach out to me. We'd like to hear from you, particularly if you're pointing out how to improve the document. How could you improve the document? Correct errors if you see them, all right? Thank you for paying attention.